Some breaking news. We have our first results in the Chicago mayoral race, so let's get right to the numbers.
As you can see, Paul Vallis with nearly 36% of the vote. We have a fairly small percentage reporting. He's got over 12,000 actual votes. Brandon Johnson significantly in second place at 18%, Lori Lightfoot 17%, and Jesus Chuy Garcia, the West Side congressman, 14%. In the next tier, the only other candidate in double digits is Willie Wilson at 10%, Jamal Green 2%, Cam Buckner 2%, Sophia King 1%, and bringing up the rear so far with just a few wispy votes, Roderick Sawyer, the city council member from the 6th Ward, Natalie.
So we have 53% of voting in at this point. And Mike, we expected kind of a big, or have we received the dump yet, so to speak,
so
of these votes?
Here it is.
Okay.
So here are the updated numbers. And again, very good news for Paul Vallis, 36% with, 53% reporting. That's a... If it's anything like that at the end, it would be an emphatic statement. And then here, very significantly, it looks like Brandon Johnson is widening his lead over the incumbent mayor, Lori Lightfoot. Johnson at 20%, Lori Lightfoot at 16%, Chuy Garcia 14%. And again, the only other candidate who was in double digits was Willie Wilson. He was at 10. Now he's fallen to 9%.
Okay, so what is the likelihood tonight that we are going to see a mayor of Chicago and not a runoff election?
Well, let's go back to that top tier, the top four candidates, and I would say it's nearly zero with about half the vote in. Paul Vallis at 36% would have to outperform astronomically. We're getting close to mathematically impossible here, given this division of the vote for Vallis or anybody else to get over the 50% mark.
Okay, so we have a lot of mail-in ballots, right? Many of those were counted today. The ones that were already sent in previous to Election Day, they were counted today. They should be added into the totals. But we have a lot more coming, right? They can arrive up until, what is it, March 14th?
March 14th, as long as they're postmarked by tonight. And again, if I'm not mistaken, I saw about 10,000 or so was the margin there. If we could pull that graphic back up one more time. The margin separating Brandon Johnson, who's from Lori Lightfoot, is maybe a little over 10,000 votes or so. The Board of Election Commissioners expects, beginning tomorrow, and until March 14th, another 60,000 to 80,000 votes to come in. So if it's anything as close as this, and for that matter, Chuy Garcia, just a bit behind them, that three-way, that remains a three-way battle, and it may not be possible to say which one is in the runoff with Paul Vallis on April 4th.
Any feel one way or the other of which way those mail-in ballots might lean?
Well, I was speaking to somebody inside the Vallis camp just before we went on this digital newscast here. And their feeling is that they're going to do better with the actual in-person precinct voting that took place today. They're going to do better when those numbers start coming in later this evening than they are doing with these 244,000 early votes and vote by mail. So if that's the case, Vallis is in the catbird seat. I mean, he's in clover tonight, and he definitely gets a ticket to the runoff. But if this stays as close as it is for second, third, and fourth, that's a toss-up.
Yeah, so the expectation tonight is that we may not even know who's going to go to the runoff.
Well, we may not, but let's wait for some more votes to come in. That is why we count the votes, right, Natalie?
Exactly.
And I know you've been watching this for a long time, too. And you know how politics goes.
I do, but as a millennial, I like that instant gratification. I want to know right now who's winning.
We all do. What I liked... I think one of the interesting elements here is going to be how the candidates play this tonight. We've heard that Vallis, in fact, if it's anything like this, and he retains a thumping lead remotely close to this, we may see him early this evening taking the victory lap and launching his campaign for the runoff. If there remains confusion about who his opponent is, that's advantage Paul Vallas. He's been able to raise a lot of money. Look for him to be out campaigning vigorously. And whether it's Brandon Johnson, whether it's Mayor Lightfoot, whether it's Chuy Garcia, or if somehow Willie Wilson makes a surge from behind, it won't be clear who Vallas is running against. They won't have a clear they won't have a clear stake on a position here. So, as I said, advantage Paul Vallas if it looks like this at the end of the evening.
Mike has been reporting on elections in Chicago for decades. So is it typical for an incumbent mayor to be this far down on the totem pole?
No. This is unprecedented. Right now, Lori Lightfoot is in third place, in danger of not making the runoff at all. That will, she has often been referred to as a history-making mayor, the first black woman, the first openly gay mayor of Chicago. She might be making some unfortunate history from her perspective tonight if these numbers look anything like this at the end of the evening, and particularly by the end of this week. If she still is in third place by this weekend, it may be time to concede. We'll see.
Speaking of her, we're also going to take a look at some of these aldermanic races. I don't know if we can pull up the numbers at this moment, but I want to shed some light on this. We're looking at the 11th ward, and in that ward, you have a candidate that was appointed by Mayor Lightfoot that is not winning the race at this point in time.
Right.
We're talking about Nicole Lee, who's the incumbent, again, just appointed, freshly appointed by Lightfoot. So does that speak to the mayor's standing in Chicago?
Well, it may. I mean, this is, again, we've got, more than 50% of the vote in there. And Nicole Lee, the first Asian alderman, she was appointed by the mayor. She does have the support of the Daley organization. The John Patrick Daley, the former mayor's brother, and who remains the committeeman there and a Cook County commissioner, he was supporting Lee. So again, these numbers, these are early numbers. There's a long night ahead of us. Mr. Ciaravino, several percentage points ahead of Nicole Lee. This one looks like it, Natalie, is headed for a runoff if the numbers continue to look anything like this, because just like for mayor, in order to win tonight, a candidate for alderman has to get 50% plus one.
So those will be the races we're also watching. Let's jump now to the 43rd ward, because like the 11th ward, you have another candidate who was also appointed by Mayor Lightfoot. Yes.
Timmy Knutson. He is leading with a, what's that percentage? Is that 60 some percent there?
About 61% of the vote in so far.
He's leading over Brian Comer, Rebecca Janowitz, who has spent a breathtaking amount of money, maybe set an all-time record for city council seat in terms of spending. This one looks like it's almost certainly headed for a runoff.
I want to look also at the 19th ward. This is another one that we're following, because we have incumbent Alderman Matt O'Shea against a retired police officer and someone backed by the FOP.
Michael Cummings. He's got the backing of the Fraternal Order of Police. He was an activist in the union. His family owns that bar at 111th and Western that always celebrates every Cubs defeat and every White Sox win. He was campaigning hard against O'Shea, but right now O'Shea looks to be in command of that one.
All right, so let's look once again at those results thus far in the mayor's race of Chicago, and we'll continue to follow those numbers very closely, Mike.
We will, and we'll be back with an update. There you see Paul Vallas in command of these early returns for mayor. We will be back with another live update for you right here online at 8 p.m. straight up.